Tom adjusted his helmet as the shuttle descended through the lavender clouds of Zeyra. He had traveled across countless light years, yet nothing had prepared him for this planet. The sky shimmered with streaks of pink and gold, and floating islands drifted lazily above crystalline forests. The soft hum of energy from the planet's surface resonated through the shuttle, giving Tom a strange mixture of excitement and nervousness. He stepped out onto the soft, glowing grass. Every step made a gentle spark of light under his boots. The air smelled sweet, like a mixture of fresh rain and blooming flowers. Strange, glowing insects flitted past, leaving trails of sparkling light behind them. Tom took a deep breath. This was not just a mission, this was an adventure. Following his exploration map, he headed toward the capital city, curious about the alien civilization he had come to study. Towering spires of crystal and metal reflected the sunlight in rainbow patterns. Floating platforms moved smoothly between buildings, carrying beings of all shapes and sizes. Some had wings that glimmered like glass, others moved on multiple legs with perfect balance. Despite the differences, they all moved with purpose, as though they shared a common understanding. Tom's attention was drawn to a garden that seemed to float slightly above the city plaza. Its trees had translucent leaves, and flowers of every imaginable color glowed softly. He could see water flowing through the garden in streams that hovered in midair. For a moment, he forgot he was a visitor on an alien planet. The garden felt peaceful, almost magical. As he walked closer, he noticed a young girl among the flowers. She had pale green skin that shimmered faintly, and her hair looked like strands of silver light. Her eyes were wide and curious, and her movements were graceful, almost floating above the ground. She was picking flowers, arranging them in a small bundle. Tom hesitated. He knew the rules: do not touch, do not interfere, observe only. But the girl looked at him and smiled gently. Her eyes seemed to hold a trust that Tom had not expected. Without thinking, he reached out his hand to guide her away from a fragile flower that might break under her weight. She hesitated, then placed her small hand in his. It was a brief moment, yet it felt significant. A connection had been made, innocent, simple, but full of meaning. Tom could feel the girl's warmth through her hand. He looked around nervously, wondering if he had already made a mistake. Suddenly, the ground trembled slightly, and a shadow passed over the garden. Tom looked up. There she was, the alien queen. Queen Veyla moved with an authority that seemed to bend the air around her. Her skin glowed faintly, silver blue like the surface of a calm lake at night. Her eyes were sharp, piercing, and fixed on the small figure of Tom holding her daughter's hand. "Who is this human?" her voice rang, calm but powerful. "Why is my daughter holding your hand?" Tom froze, unsure whether to speak or bow. The girl, Mira, stepped slightly forward, but she did not let go of Tom's hand. She seemed unafraid, even calm. He is kind," she said softly. "I trust him, Mother." Queen Veyla's eyes narrowed. She floated closer, her presence commanding silence in the garden. Tom could feel the tension in the air. Every instinct told him to explain himself carefully. He swallowed and said, "Your Majesty, I am Tom, an explorer from a distant planet. I mean no harm. I only wish to admire the beauty of your world and to help her with the flowers, so none would be damaged." The queen studied him silently, her gaze unwavering. Mira squeezed his hand lightly, as if encouraging him to continue. Tom took a breath. "I come in peace, Your Majesty. I wish to learn about your people and share knowledge from my world, if you allow me." For a moment, there was only silence. The floating garden seemed to hold its breath. Then Queen Veyla stepped closer, circling him like a predator measuring her prey. "Humans are unpredictable," she said finally. "They often think themselves clever but do not understand the ways of others. Why should I believe you are different?" Tom met her gaze steadily. "Because I want to understand," not to take. I believe trust is the first step to friendship. And your daughter, she has shown me that even small beings can see the heart of someone else. Mira's eyes sparkled with hope. Queen Veyla tilted her head, studying Tom as though weighing his words against some unseen scale. Finally, she spoke, her voice still sharp but softer than before. You will stay, human. Not because I trust you, yet. But because I will observe you, and see if your heart is as honest as your words claim. Tom nodded, relief washing over him. He glanced at Mira, who smiled brightly, her hand still in his. For the first time on this distant world, he felt a flicker of belonging. He knew his journey on Zeyra had only just begun, and already it promised challenges, discoveries, and perhaps a bond that could change both their worlds forever. As Queen Veyla led them into the palace, Tom glanced back at the glowing garden one last time. It had been a simple moment, two hands meeting, but it had set in motion a story much larger than himself. Tom followed Queen Veyla and Mira through the palace halls, feeling both awe and nervousness. The walls shimmered like liquid crystal, reflecting soft lights that seemed to pulse with the heartbeat of the building itself. Floating platforms glided silently along invisible paths, carrying servants and couriers without a single sound. Tom's eyes widened as he tried to take in every detail. Mira skipped ahead slightly, her small hand brushing against the glowing railing. Don't worry, Tom, she whispered, Mother is strict, but she is fair. Just be honest, and you will be safe. Tom nodded, swallowing nervously. I'll do my best, he said softly. The Queen stopped before a grand chamber, its entrance guarded by two tall figures with translucent wings and pale blue skin. Their eyes glowed faintly as they watched him. Queen Veyla turned to Tom. Inside, human. We will see if your mind is as honest as your heart claims. The chamber's floor was polished crystal, reflecting the Queen and Tom like a mirror. At the center stood a large table with holographic projections of the planet, its cities, and surrounding landscapes. Queen Veyla gestured for Tom to approach. Answer me carefully, human. You have crossed worlds to reach Zeyra. Tell me, what do you seek here? Knowledge, adventure, or something else? Tom took a deep breath. I seek knowledge and understanding, Your Majesty. I want to learn about your people, your culture, and your technology. I also wish to share what I know from Earth, so both our worlds can benefit. The Queen's eyes narrowed slightly, scanning him as if reading his very thoughts. Many humans come with greed hidden beneath polite words. How do I know you are different? Tom thought for a moment. I have traveled far, seen many civilizations, and I have learned that trust and respect are stronger than power. I hope to prove myself through my actions, not just my words. Queen Veyla remained silent for a long moment. Then she waved a hand, and a series of small floating orbs appeared around Tom. Each orb projected a question, images, or situations he had to respond to. It was a test, a trial of his understanding of Zeyra's values, its science, and its people. The first orb showed a village in the mountains, struggling with a sudden energy shortage. Tom quickly suggested rerouting minor energy flows from nearby crystalline plants without harming them. The second orb displayed a dispute between two alien species over floating islands. Tom proposed mediation based on fairness, giving each side a chance to speak and find a solution that benefited all. Mira watched from the side, her silver hair shimmering in the light. She whispered encouragement, You are doing well, Tom. Just trust your heart. The third orb was more difficult. It showed a simulated disaster, an alien river flowing out of control toward a city. Tom needed to use the planet's natural energy to redirect the flow safely. He studied the hologram carefully, analyzing patterns and calculating solutions. With careful instructions, the virtual river was guided into a containment basin, and the city remained unharmed. Queen Veyla's lips twitched almost imperceptibly, the first hint of approval. She turned to Mira. She sees potential in him, Mira said quietly. Even I am surprised, Mother. The final orb projected a simple image, a hand reaching out to another hand. Tom understood immediately. It was about trust. Without hesitation, he extended his hand toward the orb, and a soft light connected the two. The orb glowed warmly, indicating his understanding of empathy and mutual respect. Queen Veyla stepped forward. You have answered with thought, courage, and care. But know this, human, these trials are not the only measure. Zeyra's strength lies in its heart, not its knowledge. You will be observed closely, for one mistake could have consequences. Tom bowed deeply. I understand, Your Majesty. I will do everything I can to honor your trust. The Queen's gaze softened slightly as she looked at her daughter. Mira ran forward and grabbed Tom's hand again. He is kind, Mother. I feel safe with him, she said. Queen Veyla's eyes flicked between Tom and Mira. You have formed a bond that cannot be ignored. I do not fully trust humans yet, but perhaps, we can see what can come of this friendship. Tom felt a wave of relief. The tension in his chest eased slightly, but he knew that the path ahead would not be simple. Zeyra was a world of wonder, but also of rules and expectations far beyond Earth's. To earn the Queen's trust fully, he would need to prove himself again and again, not just with knowledge, but with courage and respect. Mira smiled up at him, her eyes bright. Do you want to see the rest of the palace, Tom? She asked. He nodded eagerly. I would love to. Queen Veyla stepped back, watching silently as Tom followed Mira through halls of shifting light and floating staircases. He marveled at the palace's beauty and felt a growing sense of responsibility. He was no longer just an explorer, he had become part of something larger. How he acted here could shape the future of trust between humans and Zeyrans. As they reached a balcony overlooking the city, Tom's eyes widened once more. The streets below shimmered with life, alien citizens moving with harmony and purpose. Above them, floating gardens and crystalline spires created a breathtaking panorama. Mira took his hand again, and he realized that simple gestures could carry great meaning here. The Queen's voice echoed softly in his mind, a reminder and a warning: trust must be earned, human. Every choice matters. Tom nodded silently to himself. Whatever lay ahead, he knew he had to face it with honesty, courage, and respect. For now, though, he allowed himself a small moment of wonder, holding Mira's hand and marveling at the beauty of Zeyra. The next morning, Tom awoke to the soft hum of Zeyra's energy flowing through the palace. Sunlight filtered through the translucent walls, casting rainbow patterns across the floor. Mira was already waiting outside his room, her silver hair shimmering in the light. Good morning, Tom, she said cheerfully. Come on. Mother wants to show you something. Tom rubbed his eyes but smiled. Good morning, Mira. Lead the way. They walked through corridors that seemed to move as they passed, light shifting and reflecting like water. Tom marveled at every detail: the floating lanterns, the soft glow of the walls, and the gentle music that seemed to drift through the palace without a source. Mira led him to a large chamber, the floor made of crystal that reflected their images perfectly. Queen Veyla was waiting in the center, her presence commanding the room. Today, human, you will face tasks designed to test not only your mind but also your heart, she said. Zeyra values wisdom, courage, and compassion above all. You must show that you can balance all three. Tom nodded, determination shining in his eyes. I will do my best, Your Majesty. The first trial was simple in appearance but challenging in practice. Floating spheres of light hovered around the room, each containing a miniature simulation of Zeyra's ecosystems. One showed a forest threatened by spreading fire. Another showed a river overflowing and flooding nearby settlements. Tom had to find solutions that would restore balance without harming the inhabitants. He studied the first sphere carefully. Using his knowledge of science and observation, he suggested using the natural energy of the plants to create a barrier that redirected the fire safely. The forest calmed, and the miniature creatures inside moved freely once more. Mira clapped quietly, her eyes bright with encouragement. The second sphere was trickier. The river flowed with unusual force, threatening tiny cities along its banks. Tom examined the terrain and realized he could combine the river's natural energy with Zeyra's crystalline technology to build temporary channels and redirect the water. Slowly, the water's flow stabilized, and the miniature city was saved. Queen Veyla watched silently, her expression unreadable. "You think quickly and carefully. But wisdom alone is not enough," she said. The third task tested courage. Tom was led to a narrow bridge suspended over a glowing canyon. Strange winds swirled around him, and the bridge seemed to sway, though he knew it was stable. At the center, a small glowing creature appeared, trapped on a narrow ledge. Tom had to cross the bridge to rescue it. He took a deep breath and stepped forward, feeling the energy of the canyon around him. The winds buffeted him slightly, but he focused on his goal. Reaching the ledge, he gently picked up the creature, which chirped softly in gratitude. Mira's eyes widened in admiration as he carried it safely back across the bridge. Queen Veyla's gaze softened, though her voice remained firm. Courage is shown not only in strength but in the willingness to act when others are in danger. You have done well. The final trial was the most subtle: compassion. Tom was shown holograms of Zeyra's citizens, each facing challenges: illness, loss, or misunderstanding. He had to respond with solutions that considered their feelings, their culture, and the planet's delicate balance. One hologram showed a young alien struggling to fly with broken wings. Tom suggested a temporary support system that allowed the creature to move while healing naturally. Another showed two alien communities arguing over territory. He proposed a shared space, combining resources for mutual benefit. Each decision required patience, empathy, and careful thought. Mira watched Tom's responses closely. "You understand us more than I expected," she said quietly. "Even I sometimes forget the smallest details." After the trials, the Queen floated forward. "Human, you have shown wisdom, courage, and compassion. You have acted with honesty and respect. Mira's trust in you is not misplaced. However, know this: the road ahead will test you even further. Zeyra is a beautiful world, but it is also fragile. Every choice matters." Tom bowed. "I understand, Your Majesty. I will continue to do my best." Mira took his hand again, her smile warm. "You have passed the first tests, Tom. I am proud of you." Queen Veyla studied them both for a long moment. "The bond between you is unusual. Many humans would falter in our ways, yet you have adapted. That is remarkable. Tomorrow, you will learn about the city's defenses and how Zeyrans protect themselves. There is much to see and understand, and much depends on your judgment." Tom felt a mix of excitement and responsibility. He had already learned that Zeyra was more than a beautiful planet; it was a society built on balance, respect, and wisdom. He knew the trials had only begun. As he and Mira left the chamber, the palace seemed to hum with quiet energy. Tom glanced at the floating gardens outside and felt a growing sense of purpose. He was not just an observer anymore. He was part of Zeyra's story, and his actions could shape the future of this world. Mira skipped ahead, pointing to a balcony overlooking the city. "Look, Tom. You can see everything from here. Isn't it amazing?" Tom smiled, holding her hand. "It really is. And I think we are going to learn a lot together." Queen Veyla's voice echoed softly in his mind as they gazed at the city below. "Trust is earned, human. But courage, wisdom, and compassion will carry you far." Tom nodded silently. He knew the journey had only just begun, and every step would test him further. But for the first time, he felt confident that he was ready to face whatever challenges Zeyra might bring. The morning sun bathed Zeyra in soft golden light, making the floating spires and crystal gardens sparkle like scattered jewels. Tom followed Mira through the city streets, his eyes wide with wonder. He had already seen the palace, the gardens, and the sparkling marketplaces, but today felt different. There was a tension in the air, a subtle energy that made him cautious. "Something is wrong," Mira said softly, her hand gripping his lightly. "Mother has been restless since yesterday." Tom frowned. "Restless? Why?" Mira shook her head. "I don't know exactly, but I think there is danger nearby. Mother hasn't told me everything yet." They reached the central plaza, where Zeyrans were moving about in their usual calm and orderly manner. But Tom noticed something unusual: small groups of soldiers patrolling more aggressively, their eyes scanning the crowds. The atmosphere was tense, even among the normally serene citizens. Suddenly, a messenger with glowing wings flew toward them, carrying a scroll of light. Mira caught it and read the message aloud. "Mother, a rogue faction has been spotted near the northern borders of the city. They plan to challenge her rule and take control of Zeyra." Tom's heart pounded. "Rogue faction? How serious is this?" Mira's expression was serious. "Very. They have technology that can disrupt the city's energy flow. If they succeed, it could harm everyone here." Tom glanced around, noticing the floating platforms and energy barriers that protected the city. "Maybe I can help," he said. "I've studied energy systems before. Perhaps I can suggest a strategy to defend the city." Mira's eyes lit up. "Mother will want to hear that. Come with me." They hurried back to the palace, where Queen Veyla awaited in her chamber. She looked as imposing as ever, her silver blue skin glowing faintly in the soft light. "Human," she said without preamble, "you have observed our ways. Now, I need your insight. How can we protect Zeyra from this faction?" Tom took a deep breath, surveying the holographic map of the northern borders that hovered in front of him. "The rogue faction wants to disrupt the city's energy flow," he explained. "If we can create a secondary channel for energy and redirect part of the city's power through it, we can maintain stability even if they attack. I can also suggest small defensive nodes at key points to weaken their approach." Queen Veyla's sharp eyes studied him carefully. "Your plan shows understanding of our energy systems, but you are a human. How can I trust you to implement it correctly?" Tom nodded calmly. "I will work under your guidance. Mira can help me navigate the systems here. Together, we can protect the city without endangering anyone." The Queen considered his words, then finally nodded. "Very well. You will assist in the defense. Know this, human failure is not an option. Every life in Zeyra depends on your judgment." Mira squeezed Tom's hand. "We can do this," she said softly. "I believe in you." Tom smiled. "Then let's get started." For the rest of the day, Tom worked with Mira and the palace engineers. He examined the floating energy nodes, studied the city's barrier systems, and suggested modifications that would strengthen weak points. Mira explained the cultural significance of each system, ensuring his changes would not offend the citizens or disrupt daily life. As night fell, the city glittered like a sea of stars, its energy flowing smoothly through the new channels Tom had helped set up. But the sense of unease remained. In the distance, faint shadows moved near the northern borders, small groups of intruders testing the city's defenses. Suddenly, an alarm sounded. Red lights flashed across the palace walls. The rogue faction had made its first move. Energy pulses from their devices struck the city's outer barriers, causing minor disruptions. Citizens hurried to safety, guided by Zeyran guards. Tom and Mira ran to the command center, where the Queen and her advisors were already monitoring the situation. "Stay calm," Tom said, pointing to the newly implemented energy channels. "The city can handle minor attacks. We just need to guide the power to the right areas." Mira nodded, helping to reroute energy to weak points. The glowing rivers of power shifted smoothly, stabilizing the city. The intruders were surprised by the unexpected resistance, their devices losing effectiveness as Zeyra's energy flowed around them. Queen Veyla observed silently, her eyes on Tom. For the first time, her expression softened slightly. "He is clever," she whispered to herself. By midnight, the first wave of the rogue faction had been repelled. The city remained unharmed, thanks to Tom's quick thinking and the cooperation of Mira and the palace engineers. Citizens cheered quietly, relieved that their home had been protected without destruction. Mira turned to Tom, her eyes bright despite the long day. "You really saved the city," she said, her hand brushing against his. Tom shook his head with a modest smile. "We did it together. I just helped guide the energy. Zeyrans like you made it possible." The Queen stepped forward, her voice carrying both authority and something softer, almost approval. "Human, you have shown that your intelligence and courage can serve Zeyra. But this is only the beginning. The rogue faction is strong, and their attacks will continue. You must be ready for whatever comes next." Tom nodded, feeling both pride and responsibility. He had survived his first real test on Zeyra, earning the respect of Mira and a cautious acknowledgement from the Queen. Yet he knew the true challenge was just beginning and that Zeyra's future might depend on him more than he had ever imagined. The morning air on Zeyra was thick with tension. Tom stood on the palace balcony, watching the northern horizon. Shadows of the rogue faction's ships flickered against the glowing clouds. Mira stood beside him, her silver hair catching the light as she held his hand tightly. "They're coming," she said softly, her voice steady despite the fear in her eyes. Tom nodded. "We're ready. The defenses are in place, and the energy channels can handle their attacks. We just need to stay calm and guide them carefully." Queen Veyla appeared behind them, her presence commanding and reassuring. "Human, today you will see the strength of Zeyra, and your role within it. Remember, courage and intelligence are your greatest allies." Tom swallowed, feeling the weight of responsibility. He glanced at Mira, who gave him a small, encouraging smile. "We can do this together," she whispered. The first wave of attackers approached in fast, sleek ships. Energy pulses shot from their devices, striking the city's outer barriers. Red sparks flared as the shields absorbed the impact. Citizens hurried to safety, guided by floating drones and Zeyran soldiers. Tom immediately began directing energy through the secondary channels he had helped design. Streams of glowing power shifted smoothly, reinforcing weak points and stabilizing the barriers. The attackers were caught off guard. Their devices faltered as the city's energy adapted faster than they anticipated. Mira guided him through the palace control systems, helping to reroute power and activate defensive nodes at strategic points. "Over here, Tom," she called, pointing to a cluster of nodes near the floating gardens. Tom adjusted the energy flow, and the nodes activated, emitting beams that gently pushed the rogue ships away without harming them. The Queen watched silently, impressed by the human's calm under pressure. "He learns quickly," she murmured to her advisors. The attackers regrouped and launched a second wave, this time targeting the palace itself. Energy bolts hit the outer walls, causing sparks to fly and creating small tremors. Tom remained focused, calculating the optimal way to distribute power to minimize damage. He noticed a weakness in their formation, a gap between two ships. "Now, Mira," he shouted. "Divert energy to the nodes on the left side. Use the beams to guide them apart." Mira acted instantly, her hands moving over the controls with precision. The beams glowed brightly, nudging the ships apart and causing them to collide harmlessly in the distance. The rogue faction's momentum faltered, giving Zeyra's defenders an advantage. Seeing an opportunity, Tom suggested a coordinated maneuver. "Use the floating platforms to create barriers in the air. It will slow them down and protect the citizens." Zeyran engineers followed his instructions. Platforms moved in synchronized patterns, forming a moving shield. The attackers tried to adjust, but Tom anticipated their moves, guiding the energy and platforms with careful timing. Slowly, the rogue faction was pushed back toward the northern borders. Mira's eyes sparkled with admiration. "You're amazing, Tom. I've never seen anyone think so quickly." Tom shook his head, smiling briefly. "We're a team, Mira. I just help organize what's already here." Finally, the rogue faction attempted a last desperate attack, sending a fast-moving energy projectile aimed directly at the palace. Tom noticed the trajectory and calculated the best way to redirect it. Divert all nearby energy to the palace shields. Focus on the front barrier. The shields flared brightly as the energy was absorbed and redirected harmlessly into the sky. The attacker's projectile missed its mark completely, and the rogue faction began to retreat, unable to overcome Zeyra's defenses. Queen Veyla stepped forward, her eyes gleaming with approval. "Human, you have proven your intelligence, courage, and quick thinking. Zeyra stands because of your actions today." Mira ran to Tom, her hand slipping into his again. "You saved everyone," she said, her voice full of excitement and relief. Tom shook his head humbly. "I just guided the energy. Zeyra's people protected their city themselves. You all were the real heroes." The citizens slowly emerged from safety, cheering quietly for the successful defense. Zeyrans floated gracefully across the city, checking on the energy nodes and barriers, ensuring everything was stable. Queen Veyla turned to Tom, her expression softened but still commanding. "You have earned my respect, human. You understand our ways, and you have proven that humans can be trusted allies. But remember, the rogue faction is still out there. More challenges will come, and you must remain vigilant." Tom nodded. "I understand, Your Majesty. I will continue to help in any way I can." Mira squeezed his hand tightly. "We'll face whatever comes next together," she said. As night fell, the city of Zeyra glowed peacefully once more, its energy flowing smoothly, its citizens safe. Tom stood on the balcony beside Mira, gazing at the horizon where the rogue faction had vanished. For the first time, he felt a sense of accomplishment and belonging. Queen Veyla's voice echoed softly in his mind, a quiet reminder and acknowledgement: "You have proven that intelligence, courage, and heart can bridge worlds. Zeyra may be yours to protect, human, if you continue to act with wisdom." Tom looked at Mira and nodded silently. Whatever challenges lay ahead, he knew they could face them together. And for the first time, he felt that humanity had a place among the stars, worthy, capable, and strong. The morning after the battle, Zeyra's palace was alive with quiet energy. Citizens moved through the halls, inspecting the floating gardens, the crystal walkways, and the energy nodes that had held the city together during the attack. Tom walked beside Mira, who held his hand lightly, guiding him through the palace corridors. "You did so well yesterday, Tom," Mira said softly. "I've never seen anyone react so quickly. Even Mother was impressed." Tom smiled humbly. "I couldn't have done it without your help. You know this place better than anyone. You saved me as much as I helped save the city." Mira's silver hair shimmered in the light as she led him to the grand hall. Queen Veyla awaited there, her posture regal, her expression calm but serious. Tom felt a familiar nervousness, but he steadied himself. He had faced a rogue faction, guided Zeyra's energy flows, and now he stood before the queen who had been wary of humans just days before. "Human," Queen Veyla began, her voice carrying authority. "You have proven your intelligence, courage, and compassion. Your actions during the Battle of Zeyra saved countless lives. For that, you have earned not only my acknowledgement but also the respect of my people." Tom bowed deeply, feeling both pride and humility. "Thank you, Your Majesty. I am honored. I only wished to help." The queen's eyes softened as she turned to Mira. Your judgment in trusting this human was not misplaced. You have shown insight and wisdom in guiding him. Together, you have strengthened the bond between Zeyra and Earth. Mira's eyes sparkled. I only did what felt right. I knew he would help. Queen Veyla studied them both for a long moment. Then she nodded. From this day forward, Tom, you will be allowed to stay in the palace as a cultural ambassador. Your role is not only to assist with defense and strategy but also to help foster understanding between our worlds. Zeyra has much to offer humanity, and humanity has much to offer Zeyra. You will be our bridge. Tom's heart raced. He had come as an explorer, unsure if he would even survive on Zeyra, and now he was being given a position of honor and responsibility. I will do my best, Your Majesty, he said, voice steady. Mira slipped her hand into his again. See? I told you. You've earned their trust. Queen Veyla walked closer, her gaze locking with Tom's. I was cautious, human, and rightly so. Humans have often acted recklessly in other worlds. But you have shown that there are humans who value understanding, respect, and cooperation. Today, you have proven that humanity can rise to the challenges of the stars. Tom felt a warm pride fill him, but he kept his voice humble. I only hope I can continue to live up to your trust. The Queen's expression softened slightly. Trust must be maintained, human. There will be more challenges ahead, but your actions have shown the potential of cooperation across worlds. Remember, every choice matters. Mira looked up at the Queen. Mother, will he be safe here? Queen Veyla's eyes softened as she studied Tom. He is no longer a visitor. He is part of Zeyra now, as much as one can be part of a world without being born into it. But he must continue to act with honesty, courage, and wisdom. Tom felt Mira squeeze his hand again, and he realized that even in this vast, alien world, simple gestures could carry great meaning. Holding her hand was no longer just an innocent moment, it was a sign of trust, friendship, and mutual respect. The Queen then gestured to the advisors and citizens gathered in the hall. Let all know that Tom of Earth has acted in service to Zeyra. Let his courage, intelligence, and compassion be remembered. May this day mark the beginning of a new chapter of unity between our worlds. Citizens bowed respectfully to Tom, their eyes filled with admiration. Some floated closer to shake his hand, others nodded in silent acknowledgement. Tom felt a mixture of humility and pride. He had never imagined that a human could earn such respect on an alien world. Mira tugged gently at his hand. Come on, Tom. I want to show you the gardens again. As they walked through the palace gardens, the sunlight reflecting off the crystal trees, Tom realized how much he had grown in just a few days. He had faced unknown worlds, learned strange systems, solved difficult problems, and survived a real threat. Most importantly, he had earned the trust of an alien queen and the admiration of her daughter. Mira pointed to a floating platform with a view of the city. Look at it from here. Isn't it amazing? And we get to protect it together. Tom smiled, feeling a deep sense of purpose. It is amazing. And yes, we will protect it together. Queen Veyla's voice echoed softly in his mind as they gazed at the city below. You have proven yourself, human. But the future is still unwritten. Let your heart, wisdom, and courage guide you, for Zeyra depends on it. Tom nodded silently. He had earned recognition and respect, but he also knew that this was just the beginning. Challenges would come, but now he had a place, allies, and a bond that could bridge worlds. For the first time, he truly felt that humanity had a rightful place among the stars. The morning sun bathed Zeyra in soft gold, casting shimmering reflections across the crystal spires and floating gardens. Tom stood on a balcony of the palace, gazing out at the city below. For the first time since arriving, he felt a deep sense of belonging. He had survived challenges, helped protect the city, and earned the respect of Queen Veyla. But most importantly, he had forged a bond with Mira, the young princess whose trust had started it all. Mira ran up to him, her silver hair flowing in the breeze. "Come on, Tom. I want to show you something." She grabbed his hand, and together they ran down the palace corridors, their laughter echoing softly. They entered a large chamber filled with holographic maps of Zeyra and Earth. The queen stood nearby, observing quietly. "Today, human," she said, her voice calm but commanding, "you will begin a new task. You are no longer merely a visitor. You are a cultural ambassador. Your role is to help our worlds learn from each other." Tom's eyes widened with a mix of excitement and responsibility. "I will do my best, Your Majesty. I promise to honor the trust you have given me." Queen Veyla nodded. "Good. Your actions during the battle proved your intelligence, courage, and compassion. These qualities are rare, human. They will guide you in this new role. Mira will assist you, of course." Mira smiled brightly. "I'll help you, Tom. We'll make a great team." The Queen gestured to a large holographic display showing areas of Zeyra that could benefit from Earth's technology and knowledge. Tom studied the images carefully. He began suggesting ways humans could help improve energy distribution, communication systems, and agricultural techniques, ideas that respected Zeyra's delicate ecosystem. Mira translated his ideas into Zeyran terms, ensuring they fit the culture and traditions of the planet. As the day progressed, Tom realized how much he had learned. Zeyra's people were wise, creative, and deeply connected to their environment. Humans, with their curiosity and adaptability, could offer fresh solutions. Together, they could build something stronger than either world could achieve alone. After a long morning of work, Mira led Tom to the palace gardens. Floating flowers glowed softly in the sunlight, and streams of water hovered gently above the ground. "Look, Tom," she said, pointing to the view. "This is why I love Zeyra. And now, we get to protect it and help it grow." Tom looked around, feeling a sense of peace. "It's beautiful. And I think we can make it even better without changing what makes it special." Mira squeezed his hand. "Exactly. That's why I trust you." Queen Veyla watched from a distance, her eyes observing the bond between Tom and her daughter. She realized that the human had not only helped save the city but had also taught Mira valuable lessons about courage, kindness, and trust. "Perhaps," the queen thought, "humans are more capable than I expected. They can be allies, not just strangers from distant stars." Days passed, and Tom continued to work alongside Mira and the Zeyran engineers. They improved energy systems, developed new ways to protect the floating gardens, and even introduced small educational exchanges between human and Zeyran children. Tom marveled at how smoothly cooperation could work when respect and understanding were at the center. One evening, as the sky turned pink and gold, Tom and Mira stood together on a balcony overlooking the city. The floating lights of Zeyra glimmered like stars, reflecting the harmony of its people. "Do you ever think about home?" Mira asked softly. Tom smiled. "I do. But I've realized that home can be more than a place. It can be where you're trusted, where you make a difference, and where people care about you. I think I've found that here." Mira's eyes sparkled. "I feel the same. And now, we can learn from each other and protect this world together." Queen Veyla appeared beside them, her presence calm but strong. "You have both grown in ways that honor Zeyra," she said. "Your friendship, human and princess, is a bridge between worlds. Let it guide the future." Tom felt a warmth in his chest, a feeling of accomplishment and purpose. He had come to Zeyra as a stranger, unsure of his place. Now he had a role, a bond, and a future filled with promise. Mira looked up at him, holding his hand. "We have a lot to do, Tom. But I know we can do it together." Tom nodded, smiling. "Yes. Together, the sun set over Zeyra, casting the city in a gentle, golden glow. The floating gardens shimmered, the crystal spires reflected the last rays of light, and the people of Zeyra moved about in harmony. Tom looked at Mira, then at the horizon, and felt a sense of hope and determination. Humanity had proven its worth, not through force, but through intelligence, courage, and compassion. Zeyra had accepted him, and in return, he had earned a place in a world far from Earth. It was a new beginning for him, for Mira, and for the bridge between two worlds. And as the stars began to twinkle above, Tom realized that the story of trust, friendship, and cooperation had only just begun. Together, humans and Zeyrans could face any challenge, explore any frontier, and create a future brighter than any one planet could hold.